So the first thing I'm going to talk about right now is about making YouTube videos. And this is something I've wanted to do for quite some time. But I have dedicated this like 2 to 3 months for this project because I think it's really important to learn how to do audio editing, video editing, mastering, marketing, etc., etc. And I think it's really important to be able to talk, let's say, extemporaneously and get comfortable, more comfortable on camera, because it's a little bit of an awkward thing to do, but I just want to be able to figure out how to do that. So we're going to talk about making YouTube videos. First of all, obviously super meta, I'm making a YouTube video about making YouTube videos. Great, love that. Strange loop, etc., etc. So as far as I've heard it and learned it from my good friend Ali Abdaal, who has an amazing productivity channel. If you haven't heard of him or seen him, check him out. He's just some random dude from the UK who talks a lot, and I enjoy his videos for some reason or another. But I want to talk about the 3 steps that he's outlined essentially for becoming a YouTuber. So the first thing is to get going, to start making fucking videos. Like, they are going to be terrible. Like, this video has no production quality. I have no script. I'm literally just like yelling at you about something that I'm making up right fucking now. So it doesn't really matter. The first point is to get going, is to start making videos. Get comfortable with putting those things out there and publishing them and having people not watch them, because that will happen when you make things, No one actually gives a fuck. There are infinite videos, there are almost infinite people, right? Like, the sensation of being overwhelmed by the magnitude of the world is completely reasonable, considering that there are 7+ billion people on the planet. All right, rant over. But the main thing is to get going. Start making YouTube videos if you want to make YouTube videos. And you'll get used to all of the things that you need to do to get there. So this very much reminds me of the allegory of the pottery class, or the allegory of the photography class. It's told in a bunch of, a variety of ways. And I've told this story so many times, I'm actually like bored of it. But the main idea here is that doing something over and over again is how you get good at it, even if it's bad. So to an extent, especially at the beginning, all you need to do is practice. Even if it's garbage, it's always going to be garbage. The first things you make are always garbage. And I have so many friends who refuse to start working on a project or an idea because they're worried it's going to be bad, which, let's be honest, I was one of those people for quite some time. And over the past 2 years, I've kind of got to the point where I'm okay making crap, even though quality is one of the things that's most important in my life. But making crap is how you become good. Ira Glass has a great thing here where he talks about the gap, which is when you have taste and you can see that the stuff that you make doesn't measure up, that there's this big gap between what you want it to be and what it is. And the truth is that gap takes years to close, and often is never closed, because your taste and kind of refinement improves over time as you're in a field for longer. So to go back to the pottery and photography class, we'll put it this way. There is a professor at a class, he's teaching intro to pottery, and he decides we're going to grade the class 2 ways. This half of the class will try to make a perfect vase. All you have to do is submit 1 vase for your final exam, albeit a perfect one, to get an A. And that's it. There's no other assignments. You just make that 1 perfect vase. And he goes to the other side of the class and says, you'll be graded on how many vases you can make over the, let's say it's like a 3-month class or something like that. And if you can make 50 vases or 500 vases or whatever it is, then you'll get an A. 40 is B, et cetera, et cetera. So the class gets going and they start making, they start doing their thing. And side 1, the quality class, starts studying vases, clay, kiln temperatures, materials, shapes, and all these things, the Greek history, the way to actually make a vase, how do you find aesthetic beauty in such things? And they go deep into this, reading books and finding images and, drafting and crafting and trying to, create and sketch out this 1 perfect vase that they're gonna make. Meanwhile, the other class, the other half, starts just making pots. They don't know shit about shit. They're just like, all right, this is a kiln, this is a wheel, let me throw some clay on it, let me see what happens. Obviously, their first attempts are garbage, but it doesn't matter because they're getting graded per base, per weight on it. And so this goes on for a few months. And at the end of the class, the professor's like, okay, thank you everyone, you're amazing, blah, 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 you're proud of yourself, all this shit. Let's look at some of the best vases that were made during this, during this class. And so he, puts up the fucking projector, art history style, Mona Lisa smiles, whatever. And he shows a vase. And he's like, this is a beautiful vase. This is et cetera. Who made this? And someone from the quantity raises their hand timidly. And they're like, I think that was mine. I think that was like vase 64. I was just like fucking around with like handle shapes, and I thought I could catch the light in this weird way. You know, I completely forgot about it, but I think that's it. And he's like, yeah, no, this was yours, and it's beautiful, and here's some bullshit about it. And he puts up another vase, and lo and behold, it also comes from the quantity side. And again, and again, and again, all the best work comes from those who weren't trying to make great work, the ones who just wanted to try to do the thing, the ones who learned to, like, you know, throw clay and become strong doing the actual practice of the fucking art of it. And meanwhile, the quality side is just looking at, you know, their lumps of dead clay. So this comes from, this is like an oft-told story. I first heard about it in Jeff Atwood's blog called Coding Horrors or something like that. And it's a common way to kind of just say that you need to put your 10,000 hours in, right? Like, you need to get the fucking work done if you want to get good at this. And this is the start of making, let's say, a YouTube video, getting good at anything. Get going, start making that shit. So then you kind of have a decision. Let's say you've like made 80 videos or something like that, and you've like posted them and whatever, and they're crap. Like this is crap. We both know that, right? And so you put these videos up, and now you're at this kind of decision point. Like, do you keep making videos? Do you stop making videos? And if you want to keep making videos, great. Let's keep making them, but now it's time to kind of get good. You know, you've kind of honed in on your aesthetic maybe, or the topics you want to talk about, or, you know, the part of it that you like, and we can kind of figure out like how to make these videos higher quality. Maybe you get better cameras or lighting, or, you know, editing and graphics and et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is true of really any sciencing practice. Like, I'm a coder, and for me, the getting good part after I wrote, you know, so many lines of code was recording myself. Actually, I recorded myself coding, and I would watch these videos back, and I would say, okay, what parts were slow, what parts were fast, what parts worked really well, what parts didn't, what did I write and then rewrite and then rewrite again, that if I had just paused, I could figure it out on the first try, right? I analyzed, you know, every fucking keystroke, and remembered the thoughts that I had, and remembered how, like, I ended up coming to this point, and tried to make shortcuts, tried to figure out a way to get to my endpoint faster. And that process of watching myself code, watching literally every keystroke, was fundamentally important in getting better. This is also part of a really important idea called deliberate practice. Now, there's a lot of studies on this and a book and whatever, but I like to reference, I think, oh my God, Eric Erickson, or Anders Ericsson, I think is the character's name, sorry, the person's name. And they wrote a book on this. I think it's called Deliberate Practice or something like that. You can, you know, correct me in the comments and or whatever. But the idea here is that an individual can't get great at something just by putting 10,000 fucking hours in. This is the Malcolm Gladwell thing, which is, you know, has been kind of disproven so many times. But to get to, you know, the peak of skill, to get to a place quickly that is, you know, some level of mastery, because there's not really true mastery, but to some level of mastery, you need to have deliberate practice. And deliberate practice involves a few elements. The first is paying fucking attention. It's much better to spend 1 hour focused on the thing that you're trying to do than 3 hours with kind of a diffuse, lazy way of doing it. That focused attention, being there in the moment for these bursts of time, is way better than just like, oh, I'm just gonna noodle around with guitar while I'm like watching some TV or like solve some Rubik's Cubes or whatever, depending on, you know, obviously what you're doing. So these are things that I've done and noodled around and, you know, done it diffusely. But the important thing is schedule this little bit of time that you are fucking focused. The second thing is review. You need to actually like think about these things that you did. And so that can involve recording yourself and watching these recordings, noticing what worked, what didn't, taking notes, and kind of like essentially listening and analyzing. This is very much like what I was talking about with the code and watching these things, very much what I'm doing with these YouTube videos. I'm going to watch this YouTube video afterwards and be like, wow, that was super weird, or that worked really well. And so this is basically, you know, one of the most important things about it, listening to yourself playing guitar when you're trying to get better, listening to yourself speaking a language when you're trying to do that, whatever the fuck it is that you want to get good at, record yourself doing it. Have some type of way of listening back, analyzing, and taking notes, noticing what the fuck you're doing. Sorry, I'm swearing too much. But so this is one of the other elements. So being there, focused for a short period of time, and having a critical analysis of what you're doing are two of the important things. And the next thing is expert coaching. You need to get people who are great at the thing to coach you, because they will see things that you cannot see. And obviously I'm misquoting many of this and whatever, but these three elements, like, why don't you like bring them into your life and see how it works? And please do more research on this. I just want to like bring out this idea and like let you go from there. But deliberate practice is fundamentally important to learning. And don't overdo it, and make sure you kind of like, think about it and dream about it and let yourself recover, whether it's something physical or mental. Like, be there, reflect on it, analyze it, get coaching, and make sure, most importantly of all, to fucking recover and give yourself time. You want to make sure that things